Hi, I'm Tamara Grossett, and welcome to the park near where I live, and welcome to our first video in our series called Women of Faith. Our topic for today is faithful surrender, and we're going to look at Hannah, who can be found in the first two chapters of the book of 1 Samuel. Hannah is a great example of faithful surrender. Surrender, this means to give something up completely. I love this other definition of surrender that I found. It has two steps. One, to stop resisting, and two, to submit to a higher authority. Hannah does all this with a trust in God that is so inspiring. Can't wait to tell you about it. So first, let me give you a little bit of background about Hannah. She was married, but her husband had another wife. The other wife had children, but for Hannah, it says the Lord had closed her womb. This caused so much pain in Hannah's life. She really wanted a child. Plus, her reputation and really value as a Jewish woman depended on it. What made it worse is that the other wife, who had kids, would tease her and rub it in her face. Can you imagine? So awful. Hannah's husband, with both his wives, would travel to the temple to worship every year. One year, she prayed a prayer of incredible surrender. She specifically asked God for a son in that prayer, and then devotes the son to God, which means he would leave her at a young age and serve God away from her for the rest of his life. And that is exactly what happens. God does give her a son, Samuel, the one whom those two books of the Bible are named after. Let's read 1 Samuel chapter 1, verses 12 to 15. While she continued praying in the Lord's presence, Eli watched her mouth. Hannah was praying silently, and though her lips were moving, her voice could not be heard. Eli thought she was drunk and said to her, "How long are you going to be drunk? Get rid of your wine." "No, my Lord," Hannah replied. "I am a woman with a broken heart. I haven't had any wine or beer. I've been pouring out my heart before the Lord." Hannah says, "I am a woman with a broken heart." That's a hard thing to admit. I mean, who says that? What I learned from this is it's okay to admit that I am not okay. I'm so good at denial. I want you to think that I can handle this. Or when my heart is broken, I'll try to cover it up by being busy, like really washing those dishes. I appreciate Hannah's courage and vulnerability. I am a woman with a broken heart. She surrenders. She's stopped covering up, stopped resisting. She's submitted. She gave up her son completely before he was even born. How did she get there? Well, here's the clue. She says, "I've been pouring out my heart before the Lord." My friend Jinky, when I was first getting to know her, said something that I thought was really special that I'll never forget. She said, "I'm a woman who knows how to pour out her heart to God." I love that. Our hearts are going to be broken. We can't always prevent that, control that, but what we can do, we can learn how to pour out our hearts to God. What does it mean to pour out our hearts to God? I think it means to stop stuffing those bad feelings and thoughts and just tell them to God. This is so scary for some of us, telling God exactly what we think and feel. I know I get so busy stuffing those negative feelings that I try to jump too quickly to what I need to change, and I miss this important step, this step where I surrender the thing that I'm heartbroken about. See, it's only through being honest with God and pouring out our heart that we learn to surrender. I can think of a few prayers of surrender over the years, but one that stands out to me is Floyd and I have two incredible boys, and between them, though, we had 4 miscarriages. 4 babies who died and were never born. I remember so many prayers that ultimately led me to surrender the fact that God is the one to give life and to take it away. And that if He never answered another prayer, He is still worthy of my praise. I've surrendered my dreams, my hopes, my marriage, my boys, just anything that you could possibly think of. I've prayed with my body flat on the floor. I've prayed in the car. I've prayed in my bathroom. All kinds of places, positions, and prayers. God giving me so many opportunities to learn how to pour out my heart to Him. What opportunities is God giving you right now to pour out your heart to Him? In 1 Samuel chapter 2, Samuel by this time has left home and he's living a life fully devoted to God's service, and Hannah pours out her heart to God again. This time she's rejoicing. She's filled with hope, praise, gratitude, just spilling out of her. I hope you read it. We've also got to pour out our hearts to God when our hearts have been healed, when they are full of joy. Later in 1 Samuel chapter 2, God says He will raise up a faithful priest for Himself, one who will do whatever is in God's heart and mind. Amazing! That's Samuel, the son of a woman who knew how to pour out her heart to God. Hannah's surrender produced this faithful leader whose impact was felt for generations. Remember, our surrender opens the door for God to move. What if in the next 7 days we all set aside some time, like Hannah did, to tell God what is in our hearts? Tell Him the lows as they really are, the joys. Think about when you want to do this and where. Imagine if we all poured out our hearts to God in the next 7 days. Imagine what God will do when hundreds of women faithfully surrender. Thank you for watching. I want to hear from you. Please comment and share your insights about Hannah or about surrender and about your special time of surrender with God. I love you. See you later.